People say a man's greatest enemy can rise from inside his own house. But on the day this story began, no one knew that a simple laugh would destroy a whole generation. Ofo was a strong African farmer in his early 50s, dark-skinned, tall, and respected in his village. He had 2 sons, Chika, the first, playful, stubborn, and careless, and n3akedness, the second, calm, wise, and gentle. One hot afternoon, they went to the farm together. The sun was burning the sky, and the ground was so dry that even the birds were tired of singing. After working for hours, Ofo felt weak and decided to sit and rest under a small tree. But he did not know he was sitting wrongly and his nakedness was showing. Chika turned, saw it, and instead of saying something, he burst into loud laughter, laughing so hard his hoe fell from his hands. His laughter echoed across the farm like a drum. n3akedness heard the sound and walked over, confused. But the moment he saw what his brother was laughing at, his eyes widened in shock. He quickly ran to their father. "Papa, please sit well," he whispered respectfully. Ofo adjusted himself, then slowly looked up and saw Chika still laughing. That moment changed everything. Ofo's face hardened. His voice shook with anger, and the curse began. Ofo stood up slowly. His shadow stretched across the dry soil like a warning. Then he pointed at Chika with a shaking hand. "You," he shouted, "you have mocked my shame. From today, you will suffer." Chika's laughter died instantly. n3akedness tried to beg for him, but Ofo continued. "You will work and work, but nothing will work for you. You will eat only when others pity you. Your hands will gather wealth, but it will disappear like smoke." Chika's legs became weak. Then Ofo turned to n3akedness and touched his head gently. "But you respected me. You will prosper. Your life will be full of wisdom, wealth, and good things." The air became still. Even the trees seemed to stop moving. Everyone knew that the words of a father carried power, especially when spoken in anger. But Chika didn't take it seriously. He wiped his tears angrily and muttered, "It's nothing, just talk." He did not know those words were the beginning of a long darkness. Years passed. The boys became men, and slowly, Ofo's words began to come to life. Time moved like a slow river. The 2 brothers grew into young men, strong and full of life. But their paths were no longer the same. Chika, the first son, tried to live normally. He farmed, he traded, he followed friends into different small businesses. But no matter what he touched, everything slipped through his fingers. If he planted 10 yam seedlings, only 2 would grow. If he made money today, something strange would happen tomorrow, and the money would disappear. People whispered behind him, calling him the man with empty hands. But Chika refused to accept anything was wrong. He always said, "It is just bad luck. It happens." He did not know the curse was walking beside him like a shadow. Meanwhile, n3akedness was shining like the morning sun. Everything he touched prospered. His farm was always green. His animals grew fat. Traders trusted him. Elders respected him. Even rich men came to him for advice. One day, n3akedness brought home a beautiful, respectful wife. Later, he had 2 strong sons. His household was filled with laughter and blessing. But Chika, he had nothing. No wife, no food, no progress. His clothes became old. His eyes always looked tired. Yet he still said, "I am fine. It is nothing." But deep inside, a small fear was growing. What if Papa's curse is real? Nabife was a good man. He saw how his elder brother was suffering and he felt pain in his heart. Even though Chica wasted money, followed wrong friends, and spent nights drinking, Nabife still helped him. Again and again he gave Chica money to start a business. "Brother, take this, try again," Nabife would say gently. But every time, Chica would relax, drink, follow women, and waste all the money. Within weeks, he would return empty-handed. People began to mock him openly. Look at the elder brother begging from the younger one. A man cursed from birth. But Chica pretended not to hear. One day, Nabife told his wife, "I fear my brother will die poor and alone if I do nothing." His wife nodded sadly. So Nabife made a decision. He bought clothes, food, and finally he found a humble young woman willing to marry Chica. Even though Chica had no house, no money, and no hope, the woman agreed. She said, "I will try. Maybe things will change." They got married in a small ceremony with just a few neighbors watching. Soon, they had a son named Oniyama, a boy born into a household full of struggle. But the curse did not stop at Chica. It was already waiting for the child. Onyema grew up with a heavy heart, even though he did not understand why. His father, Chica, could barely feed him. Sometimes they would wake up with no food at all, and his mother would boil water just to pretend something was cooking. As Onyema grew older, he started helping in the farm, but the same strange failure followed him. He would plant fast-growing crops, but they would die for no reason. When he worked for people, they would suddenly stop needing him. Even when he tried trading small items, everything went wrong. Sometimes he sat behind their small house and cried quietly. "Why is my life like this?" he would whisper. Chica gave him nothing, not because he did not want to, but because he had nothing to give. Every business Chica tried failed. Every effort turned to dust. The curse was now walking with Onyema. One afternoon, Onyema sat under a big mango tree near the village road, thinking of his life. His clothes were torn, his hands were rough and dry, his stomach was empty. Then, out of nowhere, a madman walked toward him, a man people feared because he spoke strange truths. The madman stared at him with wild eyes and shouted, "The cursed one!" Onyema froze. His heart beat fast. He felt something deep inside him break. The truth had finally found him. That night, Onyema could not sleep. The madman's words kept repeating in his mind. "The cursed one! The cursed one!" He sat up in the darkness, thinking about his life, the hard work, the suffering, the strange failures that followed him everywhere. Then a thought entered his heart. I must find out the truth. I cannot continue like this. The next morning, Onyema told his mother he would travel to the native doctor in the deeper part of the village, the one elders visited when life made no sense. His mother tried to stop him. "Onyema, these things are dangerous." But he shook his head. "Mama, I am already dying slowly. Let me know why." He walked through long, narrow footpaths, past thick bushes, crossed a small stream, and finally came to a lonely hut with red and white markings on the ground. The air felt heavy. The native doctor, an old man with gray hair and sharp eyes, slowly came out. "I know why you are here," he said before Onyema even spoke. Onyema's heart jumped. "You carry a curse older than you, a curse from your grandfather. A curse born from a father's shame. Onyema's legs weakened. He realized the madman was right. He was living inside a curse he did not create. "Sit down," the native doctor said. Onyema sat on a low wooden stool. His hands were shaking. The old man drew a circle on the floor with white chalk, placed cowries around it, and began chanting. The wind around the hut changed direction. The leaves outside rustled as if listening. After a long silence, the old man spoke. "Your grandfather carried shame to his grave. Your father, Chika, laughed at his own father without knowing. He dishonored him." Onyema swallowed hard. "The curse was born that day," the old man continued. "A curse of shame, poverty, and empty hands." Tears filled Onyema's eyes. "What can I do?" he asked weakly. "How do I stop what my father caused?" The old man looked at him with pity. "To break the curse, you must cover the shame your father revealed. You need 2 garments, a white one for purity and a red one for honor. You must also bring kola nut, alligator pepper, and a pure white lamb." Onyema swallowed hard. He did not care how difficult it was. He just wanted to live a normal life. "Do this," the old man said, "and the curse will bow." Hope entered Onyema's heart for the first time in years. He stood up. He was ready. Onyema returned home with fire in his spirit. For once, he had a direction. He borrowed small money from neighbors, worked for anyone who needed help, carried loads in the market, and saved every coin he earned. Slowly, he bought the white garment, the red garment, the kola nut, and the alligator pepper. The hardest was the white lamb, but he worked day and night until he bought it. A week later, he returned to the native doctor's hut carrying everything. The native doctor nodded. "You are ready." They went into a small open field behind the hut. The night sky was clear and the moon shone like silver. The old man placed the garments on the ground, tied 3 cowries together, and lit a small fire. "Your father mocked shame. Tonight, you cover it." He placed the white garment over the lamb and the red garment over the chalk circle. Onyema knelt. The old man chanted. The wind began to blow stronger. "Speak!" the native doctor shouted. "Tell the spirit you are not your father." Onyema cried out, "I am not my father! Let my hands be free!" The fire suddenly rose high, then died completely. Silence fell. The curse had been shaken. The next morning, Onyema felt different. The air around him felt lighter, like a heavy load had been lifted from his shoulders. When he reached home, his mother stared at him. "Onyema, something has changed," she said quietly. Days passed, and strange good things began to happen. A man he once worked for suddenly returned and paid him double for an old job. The crops he planted started growing fast, greener and healthier than ever. People who used to ignore him now greeted him with respect. For the first time in his life, Onyema felt hope. Word spread through the village. "Something good is happening to Chika-san." Even Nabonife heard about it and smiled. "Thank God," he said. "My brother's son will not suffer again." Within months, Onyema's life changed completely. He saved money, built a small hut, and even started a little business, selling farm tools. Everything he touched finally worked. The curse was losing its power. One evening, sitting outside with the cool breeze blowing, Onyema whispered, "Thank you, grandfather. I have covered your shame." The wind blew gently, as if answering him. The darkness over the family was ending. Years later, Onyema became a strong, handsome young man with wisdom in his eyes. He married a beautiful, respectful woman, and together they built a peaceful home. He had children, healthy, joyful, full of life. People in the village now spoke his name with pride. That is Onyema, the boy who broke a curse. Chika, his father, grew old and weak. He watched his son's success with tears in his eyes. Sometimes he sat quietly and whispered, "If only I had listened to Papa. If only I had respected him." But Onyema did not hate him. Instead, he supported him, fed him, and cared for him until his old age. One evening, Tika held Onyema's hand and said, "My son, forgive me. I caused all this." Onyema smiled gently. "Papa, we are free now. The curse is gone." The moonlight shone softly on them. From that day, peace returned to Ofo's family, the peace that had been missing for generations. Through Onyema's courage, respect, and determination, the chain of suffering broke. The story ended not in darkness, but in a bright dawn, a new beginning.